Your dad loves you. Deep down inside, when they're one-on-one, they're going, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
I love this dude. You know what I mean? And because it's humanly impossible, but they're using the tools that were given to them. But it's my responsibility, okay, to change it.
Yeah.
It's my responsibility to change it, and I didn't want to change it. So guess what happened? God took everything away from me.
Welcome back to the Dark Work Podcast. Today's guest is Michael Molthan. Now, Michael has a story that is genuinely going to have you stop and rewind and re-listen, because you're like, that couldn't have happened to a person for them to be the joyous person you see. And I find that in life, we end up coming across these amazing souls, and you pass them every day in cars, in waiting in lines at Disneyland, right? All these places you go. But the truth is, sometimes a story hidden within these strangers is the one that will open up your world. And today you have a person who's going to unpack his life in a way that allows you to go, man, if someone can get through this, I can get through this. But also we talk to how, right? To go through the journey of being in prison, from being arrested by having a whole bunch of cocaine, after being this amazing individual that's building these homes for people that you can't even say their names because they're too famous, right? All these ups and downs of life, but the truth is that is life. And it's not foreign. The difference is that this individual today learned how to be able to look at himself, to be able to take insights in the right way, to connect to source, and be able to take his message out to the world to allow your life to be much better than it can be. And honestly, maybe better than you picture it to be at some point in time. So we're going to dive into the episode, get a pen and paper out, take notes, but also keep an open heart, because the things you're going to hear are going to connect to you at that level, and that's where change takes place. So without further ado, let's hop into the episode. Welcome back to the Dark Work Podcast. We're here today with Michael Molthan. He's an individual that I was introduced to by a good friend, and I got a chance to look at a quick video of his story, and I found that it was one of those ones where you'll understand why it's this podcast. It's about the dark work, and this individual's gone through some things that not just he did alone, but he did in a sense of going through it, but then also extracting the gold within that to be able to give the world some greatness. And so I'm looking forward to getting that greatness from you. How you doing today, Michael?
What an honor. It's good to see you, man.
You too, man.
So
Pleasure.
it's so good to see you.
Yeah, it was cool. So I got to meet you, right? We just walked out, and it was kind of I gave a hug, I'd known you for a while.
Yeah.
Just kind of went back and forth in text, which tells me that you're a person that's open.
Yes.
And usually people that are open is because they've had a lot of crazy.
Yes.
It's the nature of life. But I'm looking forward to our chat today because I know there's a lot of depth to you, and I'm looking forward to what you can bring to the world, which you already do. You do it on TV shows and podcasts and all this great stuff. So it's an honor to have you here. I thank you. Let's start the podcast with a kind of a flow in that I like to figure out. And I always kind of ask this question, but it's about the work that people do in the dark, that nobody sees, no one celebrates, that allows them to shine in the light, to have this light that's beautiful and bright. At this current moment in your life, what are you doing that you would say, man, this is what the light looks like for me, whether it's relationship, career type stuff? What are you proud of that you get to look at and go, man, it's because of the things I did that were hard?
Real easy. Serving others. Just serving others and helping others. Because it puts me in the safest place in the world, and that's right here, right now.
Yeah.
Because that's where God's at, and so that's where I get that peace. Because my mind's it's a bad playground, and if I go in there alone, I'm gonna get shot.
Really.
And so I really I just love helping people that want to be helped, that want to be helped, and so it's my my responsibility. It's our responsibility. If someone reaches out for help for anything, then I provide solutions and suggestions based off of my personal experience.
Yeah.
Because in order to keep what I have, what's been given to me, grace, I have to give it away.
I get it. Yeah, you can't give what you don't have.
That's right.
It's a good way to look at it. Now, I know some of the depths of some of the things you've gone through, just from the podcast snippets and clips that I've watched prior to our time together. Do you mind kind of walking us through some of those stages of life that you would believe would give people some pause and go, man, this guy's he's definitely seasoned, experienced life?
I have, and I love your story. I was looking at, snippets of your story, and, I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks too. I grew up in a wealthy family, and I had a mom and dad, and have a brother, and grew up, in the country clubs, and grew up playing golf. But at a very, very, very young age, as young as I can remember, I was violated by my maternal side grandfather, who was a police officer and was being sexually abused by this man. So I was, I was holding a secret, and I was holding a secret because I wanted to protect my family, because I didn't want anybody to think that we were bad people. And also, I endured a lot of physical abuse from my mother and my father behind closed doors. And I was also very confused that when we would leave and go to the country clubs, they were these completely different people.
Yeah.
But behind closed doors, it was complete chaos. And so I just grew up in confusion. And I was a loner. I mean, I had a lot of people around me. I was real funny and class clown and all that. But it was a mask because I was just so confused. And then I started seeking visible things to try to fix this invisible problem, which eventually led me to alcohol and drugs, because that became my drug of choice. Because Anthony, when I drank alcohol and I did drugs, I started to feel like everybody else around me looked. I wanted my insides to match their outsides. And so I had real childhood trauma. I've had real adult trauma, but then to try to fix that, I have self-inflicted trauma. And so, to put that in more clean words is that I drank and I did drugs, like I said, to change the way I felt. And then I drank and I did drugs to feel good about the bad decisions I was making. So it was this vicious cycle.
Very vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Man, I guess.
And we all do it. We're all addicts.
Yeah, in some manner, for sure. Like it's, I mean, I look at my life and I go, I don't have any vices in a sense, but then I go like, well, my vice, like my family, my work, for sure.
Right.
But all these things, I think anything in too much of it's going to be a problem for you, right?
That's right. That's right.
So if we go back, and I don't want to go dig into all the stuff that you went through, I'm not trying to go there, but I want to know, what was it like in a sense of like journeying through that and not going way off in the deep end? Because I know you did some stuff that kind of took you to a depth, but like what was it that kind of kept you centered in the midst of it, right? Before you started getting the drugs and alcohol? Because I think there's some people that battle those things in the middle of it and they endure it for too long, or they never tell anybody about it. What was your experience before, I guess, it all kind of came out? Like, what were you kind of internalizing?
Well, it was just confusion. I thought it was normal. I really did thought it was normal. I would protect my brother when he would come into the room, and I used to watch him physically, like a man, beat up my grandmother. He was a raging alcoholic. He was a raging alcoholic, and what was really confusing, Anthony, was that my mom and dad said, you're going to grow up to be just like him because of my mannerisms. We're built the same. Our hands are the same. What I'm doing right now was exactly the way that he would talk, all the way down to my handwriting. We have very unique handwriting. And so when they would say that, and then I would hear them also talk so bad about him, how much they hated him, as a child growing up, it was very confusing because little did they know, they didn't know what he was doing to me. And I never wanted to grow up to be this monster of what I saw.
That's heavy.
Yeah,
it's heavy for a kid, man.
It really is, and it's great today to be transparent and vulnerable about it, and talk about later, truly forgiving him, and accepting the role that I played in, and that blows people away. They go, "Wait a minute, you played a role in this?" Yeah, the role I played in is I chose to hold on to the resentment and anger, and so. The way that numerous suicide attempts. I tried to commit suicide at the age of 11. It was my very first attempt. Swallowed a bottle of pills, and so I was always masking it. I just wanted to disappear. Yeah,
that's tough, man. My heart goes out to you, like genuinely. Like it was, but I also know at the same time, probably like at this stage in life, you don't need like a pity. It's almost, and the way I look at my life is, I don't like anything to happen, but I genuinely appreciate it.
Yes.
It's an appreciation in a sense of like who I became out of it, that I could have never came to be this guy without this having happened. It's kind of like a dance.
Well, it's neat that you say it, because my mission and my passion is to help people see life today through God's perspective, not the world or the cultures. All right. And so, with that said, is that I finally realized that God was all I needed, because he was all I had after my 27th mugshot. I was a very successful business, owner. I was one of the most well-known high-end luxury home builders in Dallas and across the country. Building homes. The air was real thin. My homeowners, I got lifetime NDAs with them. And, to go from that to literally being homeless, living in a stolen Suburban, behind the bait shop. Today I finally realized that my trauma and my pain and my suffering is a gift. It's a gift because I get to share it, to people and help others. And that's what's so beautiful about it, is seeing people come up to me and say, you just told my story.
So what was the thing that changed to make that perspective take place? Because not everybody gets there. As you know, you're probably one of the top, maybe 1% of people that actually can go through that and have those things and go, oh, it was a gift.
Well, in 2010 or 11, I got pulled over in Dallas, and I just went through a very traumatic event. I was married for 14 years. My wife went down with a massive brain hemorrhage. She was in a coma for almost 3 years, and we were planning a funeral, and families were fighting over money and power and all this stuff. And literally, I was kicked to the curb and became homeless, and I got arrested. And I arrived in a place that I said I was never going to go. I hear about it all the time. And when I got arrested that time, I literally, with a second-degree felony, possession of a large amount of cocaine. And so I literally sat there, and I didn't know how to bond out. I didn't know how to do this stuff, and hearing all these people cackling and, just acting a fool.
Yeah.
And I literally told myself, and I didn't believe in God or any of this witchcraft, hocus pocus stuff. I said, I'm never drinking alcohol. I'm never doing drugs again. And I meant it.
Yeah.
I meant it with every ounce of blood in my body. I eventually got bonded out, got back to my place, and I said, I just need to knock the edge off. And I took one sip of alcohol, and I was drunk again and high that night. 26 mugshots later, total of 27 mugshots, incarcerated 4 out of 6 years. I finally had a spiritual awakening, not a religious awakening. Big difference.
Yeah.
And that's when Christ came into my life, sitting in a top bunk on July 7th, 2017. Something happened.
Yeah.
Something happened. And it was a result of me and my cellmate, which they call Celly, 75-year-old man doing life for murder. They called him Ooey. They called me Rabbit because I couldn't sit still. And we're in a 4x9 cell with the door shut probably 20 hours of the day.
Yeah.
And he asked me to read to him, and it baffled me. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I can't read, I can't write. 75 years old, and I started reading to him. And it was a book that was written. It was telling a story about Joseph, and I could relate to this story. I'm not a believer or anything like that, but I could relate to it.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, 4 days go by, and I'm not anxious, paranoid. I'm not out in that world, what they say. And that's when I realized that I was in the safest place in the world right here, right now, because I was serving Ooey and expecting nothing in return.
Interesting.
And so then eventually I started our 40-man tank. No one could read or write. Just this one tank.
Really?
No one could read or write.
Wow.
And so I started reading and writing for these guys.
Yeah.
And then on October 13, 2017, they came over the speaker and they said, Michael Molthan, bunk and junk. I was 300 miles away from Dallas. And I was accidentally set free from prison as a result of forgiveness. Because I truly forgave everybody when I had this awakening. And they let me out, and I traveled 300 miles to turn myself back in, and Judge Bennett said, something bigger is happening in your life,
Yeah.
and I don't want to get in the way.
Yeah.
And she set me free 7 years ago, and she says, go pay it forward, and here I am with you.
Just a wild ride, dude.
Yeah,
I did
that's
not
just a
expect-
snippet of
I
it.
didn't expect all this. You got me over here with spinning questions and conversation. They accidentally let you out of prison.
First time in the state of Texas history.
And you went back.
300 miles.
First time in Texas state history too, right?
Go figure.
Oh
go
my
figure.
gosh. And so that's one of those things where like it's supposed to be, Like I feel like God, he makes his little nudges and sometimes they're bigger than other ones.
God used these gangbangers, these murderers, these thugs. I'm in a community. I'm the only white guy in there, and I'm proper, so they think I'm either gay or a cop.
Yeah.
So I'm just real quiet and to myself. And I became tank boss. I became tank boss just because I was reading to these men.
Yeah, leadership.
And then I started talking to them about what I was reading in this book, saying how I could relate to it.
Yeah.
I wasn't preaching. See, preaching is when you say you.
Yeah.
Because that way they feel like, I'm right and they're wrong.
Yeah.
I would say, man, I want to read this to you. Y'all got to hear this. Check this out. This is really affecting me. I get this. And they would read it. Say, look out, let Rabbit talk.
Yeah.
And when they released me, they were crying. I mean, they were literally crying. And so was I. I didn't know where to go.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. But you're supposed to be, right? Because I was a statement, I don't know where it came from, but it says something to do along the lines of you shouldn't You shouldn't tell people how to run the race until you've crossed the finish line.
Yeah, come on.
Or crossed some finish lines.
Come
right?
on.
And you are a person who's obviously crossed a lot of finish lines, whether it's just, going through different journeys of life and navigating. So you come from it's a stock of just a wealth of experiences, which it blows my mind. But I do want to be able to make sure we do something that is of service today with this information.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I know that most people have, and I don't want to say I'm surprised at it, but it does. I'm impressed by it. It's probably a better word for it. Is some people will go through all that kind of stuff. They've had these issues, they've had these things, and it climbs to be this massive amount of shame, right? That I'm sure you had moments in time where you look back. But what I do is I say with a person who's not ashamed of it, talks about it openly, but it gives people access to it.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you be able to feel comfortable stepping in front of the world going, hey, look, I've done all this stuff. Like, I'm not ashamed of it. I can help you with it. Because I think that's a key that most people have to sometimes get, is like to be okay saying, look, I've tried to commit suicide. I came from good stock and I went in a different direction. I've gone to jail. I had a good business, but I'm not ashamed enough to not go back to the world and be great.
Right.
How'd you get past that shame to move forwards?
It was the awakening, back to, July 7th, 2017, is I stopped playing this character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I grew up my whole life in my room. I was told to go to my room.
Yeah.
And I was always a character. And it's Anthony, it's interesting because I realized that my whole childhood growing up, I was always trying to please my mom and dad, and I was always trying to make them laugh and smile. And little did I know what I was doing was I was trying to remove their pain and suffering,
mm-hmm.
because I saw them hurting,
Yeah.
because of the way they grew up,
Mm-hmm.
Especially my mom, my mom's side, I had to look at it like, wow, this man raised my mom. And so when I looked at it through a different perspective, that's when it helped.
Yeah.
And I spent my whole life lying. I was a habitual liar. I lied about everything because I was scared to death to be hit, or I was scared to death to be abandoned.
Yeah.
Love me, love me, love me. And I finally said, no more, no more. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take my story, not as a victim, but as a survivor, to share my story to help others. And it's morphed into something so big. What God's done with it now is that everyone's an addict. So what is addiction?
Oh, my phone's my addiction too. Think about it.
That's a great example. I did a video on that. What is addiction? It's the street name for spiritual stronghold. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the street name for spiritual stronghold. I'll go deeper. Addiction is simply this, because I'm going to prove it to everybody watching this, that everyone watching this is an addict, okay? Addiction is a person, it's a place, thing, and here's a scary one, or a thought that has become my source. That's what it is. Money, power, gambling, food, all the things, okay? Golf, exercising, service work.
Yeah.
People stay busy. They stay busy because they don't want to sit down and look at themselves, right? So everything is an addiction, and it's a mental obsession, all right? Until you hit rock bottom and you start seeking the invisible to fix the visible.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Invisible to fix the visible.
Yeah.
That's a good way of framing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so with that case in point, everyone's an addict. But why does drugs and alcohol have a stigma? And people say, look at that drug addict, look at that alcoholic. They're always the ones saying it. Do you know why? The reason why is what bothers them is the solution and their attitude and the way that they're handling things. And the reason why it bothers them is because they're doing it too. They're not doing drugs and alcohol. But when things bother me, when someone's doing something that bothers me, the reason why it's bothering me is because I did it or I'm still doing it.
Yeah, in some manner. And it's just kind of, in some way you're getting mad at the part of you. Like I get mad at my younger son who has ADHD. He's always in trouble in school. And I get mad at him for doing the things. I'm like, I did the same thing.
That's
did it
why
worse,
I recognize
man.
it.
You know what I'm saying? Like I recognize it and I get more mad because I'm like, nah.
Right.
And I'll say like, and it's a partial truth to it. I'm like, I don't want you to have to go through the same crazy I did. So I'm trying to help you avoid it. But it's like,
Do you tell them that?
I do.
There you go.
But I think in the way that I handle it, it makes it worse because I'm just exacerbating the situation because now I'm in trouble at school and in more trouble at home. You know, It's like, this isn't helping. So he gets all spun up here and he goes home or goes back to school, spun up some more. And so I started kind of like reeling back a little bit. He's still a crazy kid, but he's got a little more.
But he has a dad.
He has a dad. He is
Because our crisis today, Anthony, is the missing man. Not the missing male,
Yeah.
but the missing man.
What's the difference?
men have been sissified.
Oh, I agree.
They've been sissified, you
Yeah.
know, and what happens is we've dumbed down the deity of God, okay, and it's time for men to take back the dinner table, not control.
No, yeah.
You know, this the way we roll at my house. You know, the wife needs to say, well, what manual are you reading from? What manual are you reading from?
Yeah.
Because it's the man's responsibility
lead.
to take back the house. That's why they have our last name. It's our responsibility.
I agree, yeah.
And we take the liability. So if your son or daughter messes up at school, that dad goes down there and talks to the principal and says, listen, this is my fault.
Yeah, well, I do the same thing.
I
all the
own
time.
this.
Yeah. Oh, I do.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, and that's where you miss, out of love.
Yes.
Out of love. And like you just said, hey, son, I recognize this because I used to do it.
Yeah.
But here's how I overcame it. Yeah.
How'd you do that? Oh, you're telling me the yeah.
Yeah, that's what we say to our
That's what
son.
I
You're like,
say.
this
I was
is
like,
how I
you got a
overcame
little
it.
secret for me right now?
No, I gave
No,
it to you.
I know, I agree. It's interesting because my wife's a very strong type A, amazing woman. She functions, but also in that she's a woman and she likes to have the ability to relax out.
That's right.
So when you say lead, then like take it at the dinner table, it's not saying like take control and like you're under my thumb by any means.
No.
But there's got to be a leader. You know,
Right.
somebody has to drive the the machine somewhere. But I do agree. There's some parts like men we have to be strong enough to be able to take ownership for things too.
That's right.
Like when I go to the school, like I'm real big. Like I'm on a school side in the beginning because I tell my son, at the end of the day, this is just a microcosm of what the world's going to be when you step out there.
Right.
If you can't take leadership from the teacher, you're not going to take it from your boss. It's going to be a problem. And I can't come down there and say, give him his job back.
Right.
Right. And at the same capacity, like for me, when I look at the world that we function in, I need my son to grasp, like, I'm not going to be out there for you. And if you mess up, like, you mess up. But I got to point out in these moments where I can be safe, right, that you got to adhere to a boss you might not like or situation you might not like, but you still have to be able to be the best you can in those moments. And if I make everybody else's fault, he'll never look internally.
Right.
And that's my biggest job, I think, as a dad, is to get my kids to have self-awareness, but also ownership. So with the ownership, they can actually improve themselves.
That's right.
Because if not, then they're going to go into the world, they're going to be headaches, and I'm going to be parenting till I'm 70 and they're in their 50s, you know? It's
That's
just
right.
ridiculous.
Well, and you and I have a huge responsibility of what we do. You know, what
Yeah.
we do, and even as a father, a husband, and then being, you know, motivational, inspiring speakers to help others, is because the people who are watching us, especially our children, their view of God or Christ largely depends on their view of you and I.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And it's not preaching and saying the word, it's by our actions.
Yeah, how we
The
live
way-
into it.
It's like when I very first met you, I said, I like his spirit. I
Thank
like
you.
his vibe.
Appreciate it.
I feel safe. Immediately feel safe. And they light the room up. You hear that, you know. And even when I was in the noise, growing up in the country clubs and growing up in the men's locker room, and there were some men that would walk in. I didn't know what was happening, but I'm like going, there's something about that man.
Yeah.
And they didn't even say anything.
Yeah,
It's
I
the way they carry themselves. The Tom Landry effect. Joe Gibbs.
Yeah.
Coach Dungy.
I played for Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's the way they carry themselves.
And you can tell that person from across the room out talking to him.
That's right.
I want to find out how we became that person. After our break, we're gonna unpack more of how someone can do that, because I think there's a
There you
good,
go.
a good, beautiful point there. We'll be right back after a message from our sponsors.
Where are you falling short of your full potential in life, and what is it costing you? See, one thing we rarely measure is the cost of our inaction. See, there's so many things set for your life that if you don't lean in and get them done, they're going to pass you by. And the truth is, it's not because you don't know what to do, it's because you are not at the level to do it. You cannot attain or sustain a vision for your life above your current identity. But what is your current identity? What should you do to make a shift in that identity? Well, the goal is you have to do the dark work, but the right dark work. To figure out where your identity is now and what dark work you must do, go to darkworkassessment.com, take the assessment, and let it clear the path for you so you can find out how to shift into your dominator's identity with a mentality of, I have done too much work in the dark to lose in the light. darkworkassessment.com, figure out where you're at. Let's get back to the episode.
Welcome back. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into Michael's story, because it's a crazy one. So we were talking a little bit before about, becoming and building into somebody. I definitely want to kind of go and expand into that, because you've become an amazing man, right? I think all of us who've gone through crazy, which everybody has in our own version, it's all relative, has kind of grown into something. And the work of what you do now is you kind of step into people's lives and you kind of serve and help, whether it's coaching in a sense, but actually sharing your story. What do you find are some of the key things that are necessary for a person to be able to expand out as like a human?
Well, with men, when I talk with men, I challenge them that being vulnerable is actually being brave.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Being vulnerable is actually very attractive, for a woman, and that transparency, to let the guard down and say, this is my story. This is what it was like. This is what happened, and this is what it's like today.
Yeah.
But the what it was like is this big, very small. What happened, big.
Yeah.
But what it's like today, come on, man. Let me tell you about the great movie.
Yeah.
Because it's living in solution, not the problem.
Okay.
So we spread the message of hope instead of spreading the disease. And so many people, get caught up in gossip and spreading the disease and all that because that's a drug. That's an addiction. Anger is an addiction. Gossiping is addiction.
Yeah. That's an interesting way of looking at it because it is. I mean, it's one of those things where just it kind of buys the time and it'll latch on to you. And the next thing you know, you're just talking and going into things.
You catch yourself doing it,
Yeah.
and that's the great thing now. But the neat thing about it is that, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm human. But here's the great thing about it is that when I see myself, old behaviors coming back, is I recognize it. See, I never recognized it before.
What was the thing that got you to recognize it?
Well, it was the awakening and working with a mentor, a male mentor, and
So he showed you what you
showed me,
said.
and I went back to the past with somebody, another man, okay, and we looked at my past, and we looked at the role that I played in all the situations, okay? So resentment is the number one offender that's killing the human race. It's not drugs and alcohol or anything like that.
How so?
It's resentment. Because when we have a resentment, it stews, okay?
Yeah.
And it builds, and we don't talk about it. But the main reason why we don't talk about it, and we don't know how to forgive. We do the thing like, okay, I'm going to say a prayer for 2 straight weeks or whatever it is, and it'll go away. No. The way to forgive is I got to look at the role I play in it first.
Yeah.
And accept it. And then it's easier to forgive.
So is the resentment going to be a personal resentment, like self?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And just recently for me, through therapy and trauma therapy, is I finally forgave myself for the first time. And I actually love myself today. I truly love myself today. And when I did that, the suffering is released and spirituality increased even more.
How do you get there, though? Because forgiveness is a conversation a lot of people have. I think I have my own perspective of how I was able to forgive a lot of people in my life. But like, how could you, I mean, is it a spiritual thing? Is it somewhat of a logical, mechanical thing for you? How do you go through that journey of forgiveness?
I've got a great story for you on that,
All right,
okay?
let's do it.
So I was driving to a speaking event.
Yeah.
You could probably relate to this, and I'd just come off like 7 in a row, and so I'm driving this deal, and it's a really nice event that I'm going to speak at, and I'm just blocked. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't script that much. I just literally go in the bathroom and say, hey, God, put the words in my mouth, and I just kind of adapt to the audience, right?
I get it.
And so when I get there, I go into the men's bathroom, and there's 2 wall urinals, and then there's a stall where you shut the door. And I'd forgiven my grandfather, right?
Yeah.
And so, but there was a guy at one wall urinal, and there was one empty, and there was someone in there, okay?
Yeah.
My whole life, I would never go to a wall urinal because I couldn't stand to another man, next to another man. So I wait for the guy to come out of the stall, and I go in there, and I lock it, and I use the restroom. And that's when I said, God, please put the words in my mouth. Because if I script it, we're all going to the penitentiary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put the words in my mouth to share, to help one person. So I go in there. As I'm walking in there, they have the big whiteboard and everything like that. And I spun it around. And being an ex-home builder, I can draw.
Yeah.
And I literally draw the men's bathroom. And I said, I want to share with y'all what I recognize that I'm still struggling with. And I told that story I just told you. When it was over, there was a man on the front row, a young man in his 30s, bawling, just bawling, crying. And he came up to me and he hugged me. And he says, I could have never said that because I struggle with the same thing. And that's a symptom of sexual abuse, these little things like that. And that changed his life. So I'm driving home. And remember, I said, I want to see life through God's perspective, not the world's. And it hit me right there. I'm like going, wow. As a result of forgiveness, I give God permission to show grace, right? And so he's using my grandfather, me as a vessel, to share this story to help this man. It gets better. 2 weeks later, Anthony, I'm getting thousands of emails, not hundreds, thousands of emails from inmates from all over the country in every jail and prison, male and female. I'm like, what is going on here? And little did I know that the gentleman that got so emotional and changed his life, his family member is a bigwig at Securus Technologies, which is government communication. It's the communication that goes into all prisons, the White House, FBI, courthouses, and he put Into the Rock, our show, on every tablet in every prison, in every jail, as a result of forgiveness and being transparent and vulnerable and sharing the story.
Yeah, there's something to it. It's the years ago, I don't know who it was, I can't remember, but I was talking about like sharing my story. And I was like, not that I was getting tired of sharing it, but I'm like, I was trying to get creative with sharing it. And they go, you don't have to get creative with sharing it. They said, just share it. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, it's not actually your story. He says, your experience.
Right.
It's the world story.
Right.
He says, so every time you give it, just give the story, but give it the way that people need to hear it.
Right.
You got to give it.
Right.
And what I think you're talking to is the same thing, but if I hadn't forgiven a lot of people, I wouldn't be in a place to share it because it would spin me up so much inside, I'd be angry.
Right.
And so the forgiveness of my mom, of different people in my life, like my mom gave me away, and just because of that, I went off in a dark tangent, right? But I realized like I had to forgive. My dad never was around. I found him when I was 20 years old, right? These different pieces. But you're right, when you do have a forgiveness of it all, it gives it a different purpose to share. It's cathartic for me, like I feel good giving it, you know? But I think it does allow this to be the story the world can benefit from.
And when we step outside of ourselves, looking at through God's perspective, not the world and the culture or my perspective, and we look at the tools that were given to them. Your mom loves you. She did the best she could with the tools that she had. Your dad loves you. Deep down inside, when they're one-on-one, they're going, I don't know how to do this. I love this dude. You know what I mean? And because it's humanly impossible, but they're using the tools that were given to them. But it's my responsibility, okay, to change it. It's my responsibility to change it, and I didn't want to change it. So guess what happened? God took everything away from me. Everything away from me. Everything in my 27th mugshot that I realized that I had absolutely no power. And I hit my knees and I turned to him and realized I never had any power because he was all I had. He literally was all I had. And that's where my life changed forever.
Beautiful way to look at it, man.
Yeah.
Because everything, I think, there's this always dance of free will versus the plan. You know? And I think there's an amazing plan. Yeah, that's an amazing plan that we sometimes mess up with our free will.
That's right.
That's how I look at it.
That's how much he loves us.
Yeah, so we get to rock and roll through life, but if you kind of submit, I think like for me, it's like submitting to situations, submitting to the world, questions and things get asked of me. I go, there's a reason why the question was asked, a reason a situation took place. And I may not like that this is what's being called of me, but I'm gonna go ahead and lean into this.
Right.
And every time I do, you always find there's some beautiful thing on the backside of it that I never could have realized would have been there if I didn't lean into it.
That's right.
If I messed the plan up.
Right.
So sometimes there is a space for the plan to be that you forgive and you move forward, you lean out of it because amazing lessons come of that can benefit somebody else you don't even know just yet.
Yeah. Your trauma, your pain, and your suffering, okay? Your story's amazing with your backpack waiting at the window and brings tears to my eyes, waiting for your mom to show up, right? But your trauma and your pain and your suffering is now your gift. You're giving it away. And that's what's so beautiful about how it works when we see it through God's perspective.
Yeah, you got to forgive yourself. I think the moment you were talking about earlier is like that sense of like the self-resentment.
That's right.
'Cause if you don't, then I carried it around for so long. Like it was like an anchor. It was this thing where I was ashamed to be in the foster kid. I wanted nobody to know about it. And then I feel like I'm keeping a piece of me from the rest of the world.
But how much hope do you give foster kids today?
Oh, a ton.
Isn't that amazing?
That's the thing. And even beyond that, there's a lot of like men, marriage type stuff and kids. There's so much that I find that like people like ourselves, not everybody, right? There's things that were put in front of situationally that I think are supposed to be little like, like awards to say, like little trophies that people can go, look at that trophy case, hard fought trophy case, right?
Right.
But then now it's like, this is why you should listen to this person.
Right.
Because not only do you have I want to say now the respect to be listened to, you have the experience to be listened to help other people who are running that race but haven't got the trophy yet.
Right.
But finishing it, so to speak. And so it is a interesting cycle how it works like that. But it's a gift, man, if you do it right.
Yeah, and that's how we find our purpose.
Yeah.
People say, well, how do I find my purpose? we go with someone else in the past and look at the role we played in it. We pull ourselves out of it.
Yeah.
You know, why does God allow this to happen? Why would a loving God allow this to happen? Okay? So he can work through us to show the world that he alone is God.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I agree, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing, but it's always a perspective and a crazy. It's funny. I recently watched this video that says the word belief, it only exists because you can't believe something that you know. You know what you know.
Yeah.
The fact that it's belief means that you don't know it, so you have to choose to know it, choose to believe it. And so this whole idea of like faith in Christ and everything, there's always that conversation. I go, but that's why the word belief exists. The word exists because you have to choose to lean into that. So it's a choice we get to have, right? And in that choice, you get to choose to have your life be more free. Because if not, then the choice is to bottle it up, never be forgiven or to forgive. And then you live this existence of just, it's a spiteful, angry, unhappy thing. And yeah, you're right. My life would never be what it is in terms of peace and centeredness that I have now if I didn't forgive those people.
You know, something I say a lot is when I talk to people, they go, well, I don't have any resentments. I'm good. I'm Gucci. You know what I mean? And no, I said, really? I said, okay, well, let me ask you a question. I just want to challenge what you're saying. It's not that I don't believe you, but I want you to write down a list of everyone who owes you an apology. And man, they'll come back with a list this long. And I said, there's your resentment list.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I get it.
And today, you know, the day's not over yet,
Yeah.
but today, right here, right now, no one owes me an apology.
Yeah, I got 3.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I see that as 3 resentments.
Well, the interesting thing is they're genuinely, because I'm a very peaceful human. There are people that have like genuinely wronged me in the weirdest ways.
There's justifiable resentment.
Yeah. So I have that but at the same time, if they came back and apologized, I'd be like, all right, cool, we're square. But you know, will they do it? I don't know if they'll do it. But it's interesting is I don't carry it in my heart negatively. Here's the thing, I carry it in my heart with a sense of compassionate, like pity. Because here's the way that
That's forgiveness.
Okay, that's a good.
That's a form of forgiveness.
What I look at is like I love to be human and interact with humans. I don't harbor judgments. If you believe opposite of me, your belief existence is an attack on my belief.
Right.
I can hold amazing conversations with people that have completely skewed views from mine.
Me too.
But it's a beauty to be able to be in that space. And so what I look at is I go, man, these people who are doing whatever they did, they won't apologize. They won't hold the space, at least admit to their side of it. We'll call it, you miss out on me. And maybe it's an arrogant, egotistical thing, but I know my heart to serve from the place I'm at and how I would help them. But it's like, gosh, what would, like my mom, like, she won't come back around. She exists, but nobody knows where. But it's like I have a sense of compassion for what it must feel like to know that you have this son doing something great that you can't even interact with.
Right.
Like, gosh, it sucks. Like, if I didn't know her, I had no connection with her at all, it's just the 2 people, I would feel like a sadness for the person that feels like they can't interact with this person that they care for at a distance. And so that's kind of like where I look at this life we live of just having this space to have some cool things and cool people. But yeah, I definitely have those people in my life that haven't apologized.
That's a really good point because and I'll challenge you is these 3 people is that we play a role in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and it could be that the role I play is I choose to hold on to the resentment. But if we get deeper into it, it's like, wait a minute. Why am I mad at him for not paying back that $5 I loaned him? Because that's the role I played in it.
Yeah.
I gave him the $5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the role I
You
played
feel
in
stupid
it.
for doing it. Then you get mad at yourself for doing it.
Yeah, right.
There's somebody I paid for a service for $2,000 for, and they stopped messaging.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, what? Like, but it was the first interaction was great. The second one, so now I'm like, this son of a B. Like, hope I don't see you in a dark alley, you know?
Right.
But at the same time, I go, well, I did give the money, and
Right. And there's 2 things in my personal experience. There's 2 things. Okay. I get mad because I'll play this game. I'll go, I would never do that to anybody. That's a lie. I got 3 people I owe money. You know what I mean? That I'm not calling them back.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So that's where we really get out of self and look at the deal and where the real solution here is how can I grow and how can I be stronger and how can I make this a success story so I can share it on the show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I dig it, man. So where do you see yourself, I guess, in the future? Like, what does success look like? This is kind of like a connection to the next stage, because all things we're talking about are conceptual in the space, but I want to see it like, what would you look at it when you stop and pause? You ever like seen the Marvel, the Avengers, the Thanos sitting down in his chair, like he's all snapped and everything. What does that look like for you when you get to the back end of your days and you sit and pause? Like, what will you have done or impacted or created for you to go like, I did what God wanted me to do while I was here?
When they put me in the ground, I just want to be known as a good man.
I get it.
I want to be known as a good father. I don't talk to my kids, you know, and so when I see people, I love hearing you with your family and all this stuff, and I don't talk yet, okay? But let's say I don't talk to them ever again. I just want them to think and know and see I had a good dad. That's my dad.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, as far as looking in the future, I have a hard time doing that today, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I guess I try so hard to stay in the present.
Yeah, I get you.
But if I go into the future alone in my head, I'm real good at that. Guess what happens? Fear, anxiety, paranoia. Okay? And so I'll catch myself and I'll shift the view and I'll go into the past alone in my head. Depression, resentment, anger, rage. So I play this game, going back and forth, back and forth. And then we start seeking visible things to try to fix this invisible problem to try to get in the now. You see?
Yeah.
And so how do we get in the now? How do we hit that reset button and get in the now? Is doing this.
Yeah.
Is reading to ooey, reading to someone, serving someone else, expecting nothing in return. It can be as simple, like I texted you on Father's Day.
Yeah.
I texted that same text to 10 guys
Yeah.
because I was in my feelings, because I wasn't getting a text. So I said, you know what? I'm going to text 10 dads I respect. And I said, you're an incredible father. You know, I respect you. And guess what happened? It got me into the now.
Yeah.
I didn't go shoot dope. I didn't go drink alcohol. I didn't go buy something, you know, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And it got me right here, right now.
It's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah.
It's also like prospectively. So I don't know what it's like for my kids. I didn't have dad in the house growing up. I had my foster dad, he's a good guy, but worked all the time.
Right.
He just had to take care of the family. My mom was diagnosed with MS. So I don't know the experience of having my blood father in the home, who's present, who's there, like every day, right? So to the extent that even currently now, when I wake up and I know like my blood kids are in the house, it's not normal in my head because I didn't have that growing up. I say all that to say that I will have no idea how my kids experience that's part of love, but I get to experience the other side of it by giving. I get to be a good father, I get to show up, and so I at least get this half of that emotional feeling. I hope they get to get both as they grow up and become good parents as well. But I see what you're saying, because when I want the feeling of love, I give love. If I want the feeling of acceptance, I accept. And so in interacting in that exchange, I'm feeling the feeling I'm desiring.
Right.
But I got to give to get.
And I can relate to not having the mom and dad. They were in the house, but they weren't there. You know, so I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting how human beings work, man.
Yeah.
Because the things, the emotion we desire the most, we don't get until we give the action to it.
That's right.
But usually the action is going to require us to move without the emotion.
That's right.
So like if I look at my kids, like when I had little guys, you know, all they do is poop and cry and feed. It's all day long, and it's like this thing's giving me nothing, right? I got such a depth of anchor of love. Like within a week, even before that, a dad will die to protect his baby. He ain't even talked to the baby before. You know, it's just a thing. It's just poop. And why? It was because we pour so much in that we experience that sense of love and feel.
Right.
So what you're talking about is like you serve, the oohs. You give, you give, you give, and you get to experience that sense of service, sense of love. What I think is it's the sense of purpose for a lot of us.
That's right.
Which really gives it a whole nother, like, I think for me, desiring to live longer, it's the sense of purpose is what I'm looking for.
Right.
That for me is by giving more.
How do we know if Anthony Trucks and M2 The Rock are spiritually connected and doing the deal? How do we know? The phone is ringing and they're calling us and asking us, we want what you got.
Yeah.
But if I'm spiritually disconnected and I'm into self, pour me a drink. I mean, if I am into that, guess what happens every time?
Yeah, it's just
The phone's dead.
Yeah.
The phone's dead.
Yeah, it's true, man.
And so that's kind of my report card of what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, listen, if I was shooting dope and drinking and trying to run game and all that and come on this show, God wouldn't have let it happen.
True. Yeah.
He wouldn't have let that happen. You know, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I appreciate you sitting here today.
I'm glad to be sitting here today.
Genuinely, it's been a conversation that I learned some things about you I didn't know were going on in the background, which is a great thing, right? It's kind of what you want, is to be able to have these cool combos. For people that are tuned in right now, who may be going through a dark place, right? They're going through their own dark work experience, which you've gone through. You've gone through all these crazy things that allows you to be, I want to say, just like clear of it, but clear at a level to talk to it, to help others get clear of it. When you think about the person sitting there now in a place that they are where you once were, what's like the first thing you would give as, I don't want to say advice, but as like a hopeful thought to be able to get out of it?
3 words. I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know. Our culture has said, why don't you know? You're supposed to know everything, okay? And that's how men have been sissified. You know, they're scared to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for someone who's watching this, is that they say, you know, just ask for help. That's right. I mean, that's legit, but let's get deeper. Let's quit watering the leaves of the tree, wondering why the tree's dying.
Yeah.
You see, let's get to the root and simply, you know, there's that person in your life that you see that you want what they got, and go up to them and say, listen, I don't know how to be a dad. Well, man, you got everything. No, you're not hearing me. I don't know how to be a dad, and I need help. I don't know why I'm being angry. I don't know why I'm angry all the time. You know, and that's true honesty. Then you can be helped.
Yeah, it's good. Give yourself permission to improve.
And that's transparency, and that's being vulnerable. And guess what?
Yeah.
When we say that, watch what happens.
Yeah. Beautiful, man. I appreciate it. Where can I send individuals who want more of you?
Just go to m2therock.com. That's the letter M, the number 2, the rock, ROCK, .com, and all of our social media is there. Everything's there. And
I like it.
Yeah, check it out.
It's the rock with hair.
it's the rock with hair. That's right.
Voluptuous.
Yeah.
Flowing hair. I appreciate it, man. Did you guys go to m2therock.com if you want to be able to get more of Michael and his heart and his soul and what he has to give to the world? Also, if you have not yet, go to darkwork.com, take the dark work assessment. It'll give you a clear idea of where you stand at your identity level and also what you must do to elevate it. So you can actually go through your own experience to be able to live a cool life from whatever it is you're going, or a cooler life, assuming it's good now. I love the statement a guy named Harvey McKay said, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. So finding out how to be able to access that room is the most beautiful thing I think we can do in life, and it's always expanding. Outside of that, make sure you guys take something from our talk today and apply it. I love what you said earlier. It says, living in the solution, not the sickness.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful statement. I wrote it down because for me, I think a lot of us will get to the point of enduring that space of what's wrong and cycling it around, and it just perpetuates the same feeling. But if you live in the solution, which is action towards ending this. I heard a statement by a guy, what was his name? Dan Nitro from the American Gladiator. He said, action ends suffering. And so when you live in a solution, I believe it's more of living in the action that will end the sickness you got. So take these words to heart, apply them. And if you know someone that needs to hear this, share this with them.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is. Hit the little copy paste link, send it out to their world. But outside of that, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us, Michael.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome, man. I appreciate you. And that's it. Go out into the world and do that dark work so you can truly shine in the light. Anthony Trucks and Michael Molthan signing off.